So, I won't keep you. Enjoy tonight. Bar's open, whirly ball, and then a full day tomorrow. All right? So once again, thank you all for coming.
That's what we're doing today, actually.
Yeah, that's exactly why we out here.
Hey, we got last night.
Hey, we got the bed redefiners. We want you guys to go ahead and run around outside.
Go test this out.
Eli.
Hey, what's going on, man? Excited, man.
Where's my race?
Show me what I got, Justin. Where's that 620?
Right here. Yeah, this one right here. That's it. That's your 620 right there.
That's a head trimmer, so of course that medium head trimmer. I requested for that.
This is the other thing I'm waiting to get. I could use that.
The bed edger?
Yeah, because
You don't have one done?
Well, I think you all might remember our Vice President of Marketing and Product Management, Mr. Wayne Thompson, in the back.
Welcome, everyone.
Next to him again, he was with us last night, Dave. All right, I think that's everybody. Now, I would love to introduce our Vice President of Operations, Ryan Ladley, and Director of Manufacturing, Brad Kukla. It helps us fill that gap where we're trying to ramp up production. So it's a huge big win. And when landscapers come back, our productivity goes up.
Check this out. JC Long guy.
But he has no logo. It used to be a label. We wanted better durability and a better look, so we invested in automated pad printing for several of our carts, and we're expanding this more and more. But it's little things like labels. one of the things, we'll talk about this in assembly, you know that the number one scrap that we have in the entire plant, I'm not afraid to share this. You would think it'd be an engine block, right? $80, $90, $100, whatever that engine might be. That would be our top scrap in the plant. It's not the label. People try and put a label on, it gets curled up, bubbled, they got a pit peeled off, they drop on the floor, we lose them. So we're always looking to see what are the top 5 reasons for our efficiency, for our scrap, for our quality, and then we attack it. This is one of many ways we've attacked our label scrap issue. Pad printing. Seems simple, but it addresses the problem. It gives us a more durable product, a better looking product, and avoids the top scrap in the plant. It holds 85% of the volume of materials outside, but we have 67 different resin SKUs. 67 raw plastic materials. The reason is, I might need a high heat for a muffler, right? Mufflers see very high heat. I might need glass film for high durability. I might need a rubber modified high impact because it needs drop resistance, right? Because it's gonna crack. So you remember the Titanic, right? That was the strongest thing ever, but it was very brittle. So the materials matter. It also matters how we dry the material, how we mix the material. If you don't do that correctly, you're gonna get a part that's not consistent. When I walked in here, we had people literally with a broom handle mixing material. Can you imagine how accurate that is in a big bin? Trying to mix in 2%, 3% material? I couldn't believe it. So, first thing we did is initiate this Motan system. What this is, so what we do here is we mix in our base material, we put in our colorant, and then we put in regrind. And I'll talk to you a little bit about regrind when we go over here. We also put in additives on like foam, for instance, or talc, or other additives in different blenders to make sure we got the right material. So all these blenders represent different material. Now, I run regrind in everything. We don't landfill anything. One of the additions, I know you can't all see this, but this has black, orange, gray, yellow, some color I can't even tell. Maybe it's off, I don't even know. I'm not really good with the color. But in general, what do you think that color is going to look like when it comes out? Black. So the initial challenge was, Ryan, we don't know where to put all these materials. I don't know where to put the orange, the red, the green. Well, mix it in black. It still come out black, so let's just do that. So now, it looks funny here, but it comes out every time black, right? It's little things like that that make a big difference, being innovative. Now we do mix some in the orange, but the orange is very difficult, so we can't match the colors. So what we have to do is put more of the regrind in the black. The ironic thing is, our scrap has dropped so much, I don't really have as much regrind anymore. So it's kind of a good problem, but all of a sudden my cost of my parts went up, the virgin material went up, and my cost of scrap went down, so it's kind of an interesting scenario. So we don't even run our regrind percentage at a very high level anymore because our scrap is so low. All day long. Very loud, rough on the ears. Everywhere had headsets or earphones, but very, very, I'll call it ergonomically different. These are sharp, noise issues, and someone's standing there all day long, and people in the lunchroom complain they can't even eat their lunch without having to wear their muffled headsets, right? So what we did is we said, let's look at a different opportunity here. Let's take a big bin, let's create a shredding device. This is a massive, we have 2 of them, massive shredding device. What it does, it pours it into a main shredder, like a large shredder. You get the semi-fine particles. It goes up a metal detector. We don't want metal to get into our screws, our barrels, our tools. That creates a huge issue, right? Maintenance, you gotta tear apart the barrel, you gotta tear apart the tool. So we have a metal detector. And there it goes through a dust collection machine. And then automatically the regrind goes right back over to the Motan system I showed you. It's closed loop. Nobody's carting materials back and forth anymore. It's all automated. And here's what I think is very good. 2 things I love about this system. Not only, see how we got these doors open? I'll just tell you a little secret I don't tell everyone on the floor. matter. So if I walk an area, right, and let's say I see that there's stuff. Now, at the end of the day, it has to be like this. During the day, it might be somebody using it. But if I see this at the end of the day, what does that tell you? They're missing the little stuff. If they're missing the little stuff, what do you think they're missing on the big stuff, right? If you can't keep the little stuff in line, I know. So then when I walk the plant, I'll be like, oh, that area we need to do an audit. I want to see. So I use little cues. Are people following safety protocols? Are they following all the production protocols? Are they watching the laminated sheets? Are the boards up to date? And I guarantee you might see one here and there out there. And by the way, whenever I'm out on a tour, they hate it because they know if I see something, I'm back. Right after this, I'll be like, hey, you're missing a broom. Seriously, Ryan? I'm like, yeah, seriously. If you're missing a broom, you're probably missing a delivery. Let's not do that. So, checking concentricity and coming out as a finished good all in one shot. This used to be done again in a work cell. Well, that also gave us space because now I don't have a work cell. This was all designed in-house. So when we have a breakdown, our automation team comes over and fixes it. So again, you build it in-house, you have the skills to fix it in-house. It's always critical. No, he's not listening, he's talking. So if you guys are interested in walking through the engine adjustment room where we adjust our engines, we need to put on the videos here. I won't be able to talk to you, which is probably good for you guys because it's great for me for every single unit we build. Every single one. And a lot of people say, well, it's only because there's EPA and CARB guidelines. Well, that's a driver, but that's not everything. We do it for Latin America markets that don't require any emissions. We test every single unit. We run every one of them. We hook up directly to the carburetor so that we don't put fuel into the tank, right? We don't want to have residual fuel and oil in the tank. So every engine is not only tested, but we verify idle, we verify emissions, we verify wide open throttle to make sure that it's working correctly. We warm the unit up for anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes, depending on the unit. And we adjust that engine for peak performance as well as for emissions to make sure we're in the guidelines. Every single one. Now, if we were to send out a unit that was not, so I'm sure none of you have ever made your units more lean in the field or more rich in the field, or sure none of you have ever bypassed that limiter cap, right? But let's say I sent out a product with a missing limiter cap or not adjusted appropriately. The fine is $37,500 per unit per day. What if a truckload got held up? So it's important that we put in checks to make sure. What we have now is these are our highest skilled assemblers. A lot of our landscapers, when they come in, will run in this area. They badge in. We know who adjusted it. Once they adjust it, if we didn't adjust that unit and it goes over to final assembly, it will not print a label. We are not able to ship it. That unit cannot leave the facility. So now you guys can all know that no product has ever left this building without running. I'm not saying we're not going to have failures because we run it for a limited time, but no product has ever left the building that hasn't gone through this engine adjustment room. That's really important. And the limiter caps, you guys know that's critical. I know you guys know what those are, but it's critical that we put those in because technically speaking, we have to make sure we have something to prevent the end users from tweaking it to change emissions. This is our testing and development lab. We actually have 24-hour testing capabilities, round the clock with no people here. It can start engines, restart engines. Now what's good about this is, if we want to get to launch quickly, we used to be limited to what, 10 hours a day, right? Or if we were lucky enough to get second shift, maybe we get 18 to 19, 20 hours a day. Now we can run this weekend, we can run it all day long, all night long, 24/7. This gets us into launch quicker. If we have a phone problem, we can test it very, very quickly. It also helps us with any of our new product designs. So if I'm saying that I want to test it. 50 hours used to be a week. 50 hours is no longer a week. It's a little over 2 days. That's the thing we're looking at. I think I passed one of the lines I wanted to show you. I did. right? So how often is it used? 15% of the time. So half the line was a big conveyor with finished goods on it that was waiting to be wrapped. Well, wait a minute, how can we gain 50% of our space back? Brad says, I got an idea. Well, first, everyone says it's impossible. My favorite word, right? But then Brad came up with a brilliant idea. Ryan, let's come up with a central area where we can palletize everything robotically. It's going to take care of ergonomic issues of people lifting heavy backpack doors up on top. You know, some of them the counts are high. That's what we get to. We'll put 2 lines in the place of 1. We'll convey it over to where it belongs, in distribution, where no more forklifts have to come over here to grab products. So now it's right where you need it. Huge investment, but it got rid of the safety. It also allowed some of our operators, who are baseline operators, to train up to be automation technicians to run this machine now. Again, they're more valuable to themselves and more valuable to Echo, so it's a really neat setup.
We really want our assembly workers working on what we call value-added work. That's actually building the unit, making sure it's built right, it runs. It's going to work for you when you get it. All the parts are in the box. So really, putting it on a pallet is just something we have to do. So we really wanted to invest in a system that would tackle all of that. So that's what this really does for us. It's, yes, it's automation, it reduces costs, but it really moves our labor back over to where we really want it, not just stacking boxes. Plus it's just safety. They're lifting things over their head. They're moving thousands of boxes a day. So we spent a lot of money on this system, and it saved us a lot of space too. We bring everything in on a single trunk line of conveyor, and then it goes through. There's a total of 8 cameras in this system that uses to sort it. Not every box is a 2D barcode. That contains all the information we need for this system. It's got production line number, product itself, and then serial number or number of that. So after that, the system sorts it out by each lane. There's 7 lanes in there. We can run everything on it. You know, there's only 7 lanes, and I've got about 6 final assembly lines. We can run mixed line and then single dedicated line based on how much is coming at the system. So most of the stick tools will come. They'll have the dedicated lanes, and that's what we're running higher volume on. And then we can run mixed. And then it stacks onto the stack itself. Stacking stands on the bottom. The robots do everything for the most part. They'll pick the product, place it on the pallets. They go pick the pallets, place it on the stacking stand. And there are 2 of them. They run on the same rail. So they can run back and forth and try and help each other out. They actually talk to each other. You're looking at the robot cell. They're asking, where are you going? I'm going over here. Can I go there? Asking permission from each other so they don't hit each other. It does happen from time to time. It's kind of loud. So, but that's great if you hit each other when they do run into a communication issue. So even robots don't communicate as well as we'd like. Really, the cardboard is just to get it to you. If you open that, as you'll see in the warehouse, so you got to use cardboard corners. So when we stack those to the ceiling, they don't come tumbling down. And then yeah, that green wrapper, that's what they'll put the corner boards on, and then this ring wrapper here does the work of all 14 of those wrappers before. The fully automated product comes in, it measures the height, and it comes down, and it'll put whatever wrap sequence you want. quantity, but maybe slower moving, so we put it over there. And then we have our own trucking fleet. I don't know if Brian mentioned any of that. I was kind of in and out of like the headphones too. But we actually, to handle all the movement we got going back and forth, we actually have our own mini fleet, if you will.
Do it again.
Not bad.
Pretty good, yeah.
That's good. Wow.
All right. 620.
What'd you think?
That was pretty awesome.
That thing's sweet, man. That's a beast. That's a beast. Good. No, I appreciate it.